Greetings, this is Dr. Risha, and thank you for joining me for Math is Money. Today's focus is for parents that primarily have small children, primary grades, especially those that's going into third grade, fourth grade, and they're starting to learn multiplication. The reason why I want to create this video is based upon my experience as a math teacher. And at the beginning of the year, I taught sixth grade math for many years. And when the kids would come in at the beginning of the year, I would always give them a multiplication table assessment just to see how fast they could complete a multiplication table. Generally, I would time the kids somewhere between 4 and 5 minutes. And those kids that could complete the table, let me backtrack. I want to share this information because I think it's critical for parents to know and understand that there are certain skills that if a kid can excel and master at an early age or quickly, it really propels them later in as a student. And one of the things that I found was multiplication facts. And going back to the assessment that I would give at the beginning, I mean, we're just talking about a multiplication table, 12 by 12. And for those students that were able to complete the multiplication table somewhere between 3 and 5 minutes, generally they had solid skills with division, especially with long division. So as a teacher, what I started to pick up on was if the kids could complete that table in a short amount of time, generally that meant that they were pretty solid with division. When I would look back at the end of the year, when I would look back, I would say, wow, that informed me a lot about how a kid will progress. So I will use that information, years after. Now, for those students that had trouble trying to complete the table in under 5 minutes, generally, they really struggled with simple division, long division. So those things were kind of predictors for me. Okay, as we go along the year, I need to make sure that these kids that are struggling with the multiplication, I got to get them to master. The thing about multiplication is, yes, it is memory. And what I found was when kids are getting stuck on multiplication, 5 times 5, 6 times 4, 8 times 10, whatever, they really struggle with trying to process information because they were still stuck on the multiplication. And again, when you get into division, you're working backwards. And some of it is helping kids understand, just process the information backwards. And then when you get into long division, you got multiple steps. And you can also go back to borrowing. Borrowing has multiple steps that kids have to process. And so with that multiplication and the division was really a good indicator for me. Okay, how I need to work with the kids that can multiply quickly, can complete long division, versus those that are struggling. Those are just fundamental skills. And when you're trying to get a kid from here to here by the end of their sixth grade year, when we are referring to a skill that they learned or started to learn in second, third grade, and then they get to the sixth grade and they haven't mastered that skill, it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. And so we have, I say we in terms of the education system, with the Common Core, things have shifted, have changed, and we've really gotten away from really focusing on those fundamental skills and making sure that kids master. Now, of course, when I was young, it was kill and drill. You relentlessly went through multiplication, like, teacher give you 100 multiplication problems and you would solve. Same thing with division. And now with the Common Core, it's more so scenarios. Let's explain what it means. What's the definition of multiplication? What's the definition of division? But kids still are not mastering those skills. So in summary, to my parents, please, if you have those primary kids, and even if you have kids that are in the fourth grade, fifth grade, and they have not mastered multiplication, please spend this summer helping them master those skills. Please. It will also transfer to them improving their division skills. And again, I'm just talking about the basics. And so we got to hit those basics, because what I would see is that at a sixth grade level, if they were struggling with multiplication, they were stuck on that and still having trouble trying to break down the problem. So as an educator, it's your responsibility to make sure that you teach those strategies to help kids break down problems. But for some kids, they're so stuck on, I don't know what 9 times 4 is. And what I would do as a teacher, I would always give them, a multiplication table. Many agendas, at the beginning of the year, schools give kids agendas. They have those, and kids can go to the back of the book or the back of the agenda and use that to help them so that they can process. Because the more they see it, then it becomes a part of their memory. But these are just some basic tips on how to help your child advance a little bit faster. If we can make sure that, definitely got to make sure that they can borrow, regroup, subtract by regrouping, multiply, just the fundamental skills, as well as divide. All right, so I thank you for joining me with Math is Money, and have a great day.